Good evening, dear friends, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. It is Friday night, and when it's Friday night and the three of us are here, we play Traveller, and that's what we're doing tonight on the Baltic Star channel. It's our first love, um, and it's something we love to play as often as we can. Times have been tough over the last few months, and with regards to getting Traveller done, so it's always a treat when we can get back and continue the story because we left it in quite a place a couple of weeks ago. You'll find out more about that shortly. But before then, thank you for joining us. We are the Boys from the Baltic Star, a stream channel here in the UK that does things at a terrible time, too late for the Brits, too early for the Americans. The Aussies are just confused. And but we're doing it anyway, and we're doing it for ourselves. It's our table, and we like to think that we're playing it anyway. We'd all be around someone's house or on screens anyway, so we'd rather share it with you guys and pull up a chair. Spez is in. How you doing, Spez? How you doing? Before we start, are you still free to village tomorrow, by the way? Oh, sorry, I didn't check on you this week. Anyway, yes, we're going to run an hour and 40 tonight, maybe hour and a half, hour and 40, with a little break in the middle for the most important toast and toilet. Not eating toast on the toilet. You'll find out more when we get there. But yeah, about an hour and a half, hour and 40. Stay for as long or short as you want. Feel free to chat or lurk. We interact with chat, as you can see my colleagues doing as I blather on. We interact with chat as and when we can. Chat can chat amongst themselves or ignore us. And things that are said may become canon, may happen in stream. We're interactive. That's always been our thing. We're not professional, clearly. But what we want to be is interactive and welcoming. As part of that, we have a red sun. If you click on the red sun, spend some Imperial credits, there's a bewildering too many choices. So have a flick through, see what you like. Anything dark pink should play a tune, but Blurp has been a bit wonky recently. But generally, the more expensive, the more excitement there is to be gained. There is something very important though for 1 credit and 1 credit only. So if you click on that, you will raise a glass. I'll drink to that. That's basically our version of watering us, and we will raise a glass or cup of whatever alcohol or soft drink we're drinking, and we will we'll drink to that with you. But anyway, who are we? It's always a question I lie in bed at night pondering. And I've realised that my name is Luke, and I play 2 characters in our adventure. I play Kara and Soraya. Kara on the left is the arty, hacky, carousey, talky type, and Soraya. Oh, the guns have got to come out. Oh, my hood is too tight. John Cena's back, by the way. One last run in WWE. So he could be watching to check that no one's using his theme song, so we could be in trouble more than usual with our music. Here's a cold night for the guns. They're going back away again now. We're keeping them holstered tonight as much as possible. Oh, yes, Fez. Now we're talking. Tell us more. But yeah, so I always play Soraya. She is second from right in our image. She is a jack of all trades. She's a scout, and she's currently on an icy expedition somewhere, which we're probably not going to get to tonight, but you never know. We're probably going to spend more time focused around the bravery of the man below me. He is the housewife's favourite, the Food Master General and my brother from another mother. He's the man who needs to learn exactly what he's saying on stream at all times when he describes something. He is the magnificent Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hello, Luke. I'm very good, thanks. I'm pleased that it's the end of woeful times. What has been your most woeful time in the last few weeks?
The most woeful time.
Apart from the one time when someone dropped Kron, obviously. It doesn't count.
It's not a real life woeful time.
No. This is too real.
No, I was going to say turning up to, because we like to meet up in real life, IRL, in a local pub, the Railway.
We do.
And the most joyful time was finding out they've got a lager back that I like for a lot cheaper than the others. But the woeful point of that night was getting there and realising they were having their very loud and very difficult music quiz blaring out, where we just wanted a quiet evening to talk all our projects. So that was a woeful moment. It must be said.
That was quite woeful.
It was quite woeful.
For sure.
Speaking of, well, why don't you tell us about your two, one woeful and one hopeful character, I would say.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of woeful, as you sort of half said, without alluding to it too deeply, I play the woeful Stefan Miller, who is our sneaky, dexterous space rogue who decides to drop crew members when they are without power underwater in a submersible vehicle. Enough about that. I also play Agnar Arnson, who is slightly less woeful, certainly at this moment in time. Former military general, the Vaga, the furriest of all of our PCs, probably of all of the characters, at least that we have with us at this moment in time. And that's them.
Oh, I do remember one man who was even floofier than he, though.
Of course, which is why I very quickly corrected myself and pointed out that of the characters that are with us at this moment in time, that was the cravat that I put on. Him not being the floofiest, but close to.
Does he ever wear a cravat?
No, but he should do.
He should. We'll make it his thing. I think season 5, the cravat season.
One of them, the reunion. When we meet up with said floofy character,
with the resplendent
cravat should be worn.
With the resplendent man himself. Beautiful. I'm looking forward to it when we finally get to meet Rack again. But speaking of resplendent, there's one member of our party who keeps the resplendence around us at all times. He is the smartest man in any room. He lives his entire life, and we say it honourably tonight with a glass raised high. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence.
Majestic!
He is regularly seen in Faversham being carried in a sedan chair on the back of 6 topless and heavily oiled Eastern European men. He is the Queen of Faversham himself. It is Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Yes, yes, I'm well.
Good, I'm glad. When we go to the pub, Ben, the three of us, what do you find the most woeful thing? I'm going to take the woe theme. I like it, Ewan. The note of woe.
Well, in general, the pub we go to usually has a very limited selection of real ales. Those that are actually on a proper pump. And most of the time they can only do one, and it's not exactly my favourite. So I end up having something off a tap, which is, not as good. It's not the same. It doesn't feel like the same experience. If it didn't take real muscle energy for the person behind the bar to get it out, then, it's just not the same.
And the things,
so many jokes.
We have to wait until about October for Late Red to come back round again.
That's right. Yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. And last week, when I took my father down to the restaurant that we go to on Sundays, it was a bit icy underfoot, and I was worried about him going down. And we got to the little narrow alley we used to get down to the restaurant, and for whatever reason, it was completely free of ice. It's like nothing had settled there. So I got him all the way to the bottom, and then worked out why it was completely free of ice. It's because obviously it had all melted and then frozen again in a big sheet at the bottom that we had to cross.
You had your own odyssey. I like it.
Yes, it was an adventure.
I hope to hear more of it one day. But it's interesting that your adventurous times involve both water and ice, Ben. Something that the three of us have become very accustomed to recently.
It's the same thing. I'm going to call it out now. It's the same thing, Luke.
I don't know. One of them, I think, when it goes 12 kilometres deep and is filled with horrible creatures, is possibly more dangerous.
Okay.
I'd say.
Okay. Maybe.
Well, I'll tell you what. Should we leave it up to Ben to decide where we start this evening? Are we brave enough for that, Ewan?
I get the feeling you are.
I'm well, no skin off my nose.
So yeah, sure, why not?
You want to bet? All right, then let's catch up on where we are. So our travellers are enjoying the resort planet of Darkmoon. Sorry, I misread that. Darkmoon is a cold and windswept ocean world ruled by a dictatorial overlord. Less a resort planet and more of a planet of last resort. Our heroes have split into two teams, in fact. One is exploring the ocean depths and has found some markings on the seabed, on the deepest part of the ocean, though it isn't clear how those carvings were made. They've encountered a little difficulty, but more on that later. The other group has taken the ship's shuttle down to the southern ice cap, where they landed near to two figures they managed to spot moving on the surface. Those two people quickly disappeared, but their last known location was identified. This party comprises Soraya doing piloting duties, with Agnar doing shotgun duties. They took Syl and Johnny with them because there might be a need for some negotiation, or a knife fight. Back in the ocean, after attack by a huge squid, Kron is in trouble. His bathy is disconnected from the ship, drifting in the ocean. Kara narrowly escaped the squid and reached the surface at the ship, her bathy covered in the scratches left by the animal's tentacles. Stefan has returned all the way down to 7,500 meters looking for Kron. He began tapping the glass of his bathy to see if Kron, who has no light and no power, might be able to respond with some noise. However, the tapping attracted the squid. So, good news, the squid is holding Kron's bathy. Bad news, Kron's bathy is being held by a squid. And that is where we resume the story. So, Stefan.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, Ben. How can I help? Just before we go any further, I'd like to point out that I have written in my notes that I still have one boon, I believe.
Yes, I think you do.
Carrying over. I'm done.
Oh,
just putting that out there now.
Strong work, Spiss.
please do go on though.
Yeah.
And thanks, Spirit.
So, you've just turned your lights on. You're at 7,500 meters, and
all is well.
All is great with you. Yes, you're tethered to the ship. You've got light. You've got power. You've got a giant monstrous squid just a few meters away from you, and it's holding Kron wrapped in one of its 3 tentacles.
How am I within grasping reach of Kron's bathy?
Not yet, but you will be if you wait for the squid to get into, embrace range.
Words that I never wished to have heard. Okay, we will prolong a little bit and we shall wait for ideally Kron to be in the region where I can grab them.
Okay. You hold on for a few moments, and the squid does drift in towards you. The lights are not something it's particularly used to down here, and obviously with those lights on, its own glowing aura is not clearly visible to you. And it drifts in quite gently, feeling ahead with its tentacles. And you can see them begin to sort of curl around each side, but they haven't gripped on yet. There's only 2 available for it to do this because the other one is curled up in front of it with the dark bathy that Kron is in, sort of rolled up in it. And yes, it eventually, as it closes in gently, looking to explore this second bathy, Kron and the tentacle will come within reach of you. So,
can I make want to make kind of a two-handed. I want to take a two-handed approach to this, if I may. I want to have a couple of things going on at the same time. I'd like ideally one appendage of the bathy to reach out for Kron, a dear beloved comrade who has found himself down here through no fault of my own, without any power. But at the same time, I'd also like to use the other arm of the bathy, which, correct me if I'm wrong here, is designed to chew up and suck up long, thin kelp strands. You might say tentacle-ish.
Tentacle adjacent sort of things.
Yes, yeah, certainly very akin to tentacles in my mind. I would like to waft that in the general direction of said tentacle, which is currently gripped onto Kron.
All right, so you're planning to use one of them to try and grab Kron's capsule, and at the same time, the other one to grab the tentacle that's wrapped around the capsule.
That's the plan.
Okay, and as soon as you grab the tentacle, you want to turn on the like chainsaw type device that cuts and then pulls the thing in.
Assuming I have a firm hold on Kron, because I would hate for him to start plummeting. I would hate to preemptively turn on the chainsaw type mechanism and have him fall further into the depths.
All right. Okay. Then in that case,
down to Davy Jones's locker.
Exactly.
In that case, I'm going to make you roll a dex check with your vac suit skill with a -1 penalty.
Oh. Which I should be used to by now, but it still feels brutal. Okay, that's not bad. That is a 10 plus 2 for dexterity. 0 vac suit minus the 1.
11 total.
Makes 11 total.
Fantastic. All right.
I like it. This is good.
You immediately feel that you grip firm hold of Stefan's capsule, and a moment later, the other arm grips onto the tentacle of the squid, and you immediately turn on the power.
Can I also, at this point, say a big thank you to Sparrow, who I think the boon in the last session meant that one of the arms of my bathy is no longer damaged.
That's
so,
right. It flicked
really
back
appreciate that one.
Yes. So, the reaction from the squid is immediate. It's as if it throws its arms wide in shock and tries to sort of back away a little bit from the pain, but it takes you with it because you're attached. And it uncurls its tentacle with a big flick. Can you please roll another dex check for me?
Oh.
Same again to find out if you can retain hold of Kron's capsule despite the sudden movement.
Oh, indeed. Is this with vac suit -1 again?
Vac suit -1, yeah, please.
I'm going to go ahead and use my boon, if I may.
Of course.
Thank you. I shall cross it off, because this feels important.
It does. Good news.
Oh, and that is good. So I can only apologise, Ben. I'm going to drop the 2, and I'm going to keep the 2 6s. Thanks.
Good work,
Sparrow.
So that's a 13.
+1
right?
overall, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is.
So, the squid tries to sort of hurl the bathy away. It doesn't necessarily know which of the things it's in contact with has bitten it, so to speak, and it tries to let go of everything immediately. As it does so, because it's thrown its arms wide, its jaw is actually projected slightly towards you,
Ooh.
but the arms pull
Ooh.
back suddenly, and then it looks as if it's going to like clap its tentacles together in order to pull away. You have a moment to make a decision before it does that, because if it does, there's a chance you get tangled up in them again, or it could just disappear depending on exactly what move it makes.
Indeed. Stefan will take control of his bathy and attempt to move us up whilst screaming as loudly as he can over the radio in a very calm manner. Pull us up, pull us up, pull us up, pull us up. Up, reel us in,
All right.
please.
I will make a roll to see how quickly Zard reacts. Oh, you'll be pleased with that. You've barely got the first few syllables out. As soon as he hears up, you can feel the cable start to pull hard. And for a fraction of a second almost, you see those tentacles start to sort of come together in a wave from root to tip in order to provide some propulsion in a smooth line away. But by the time the part that's closest to you meets, you're already above it and climbing, and you've got a firm grip of Kron's capsule. The for a few moments, the squid seems to just disappear into the blackness below you. Would you like to leave your lights on or turn them off? Or would you like to try and communicate with Kron?
I would like to. Firstly, I would like to get a second-hand grip on Kron's bat. So, there's two
Okay.
bathy appendages on him. And then effectively, once that's done, I will turn the lights off. I believe that's what we're going for. I lose track of whether lights on is good or bad, but I think it's bad.
On average.
My memory,
remember
it's hard to
which way
tell
round
at this
it is.
point.
Okay.
But we'll go with turning them off.
As you aren't doing this in a panic and you already have a firm grip, I'm not going to make you roll for getting a second grip on Kron. You can relatively easily do this because it's like something you're holding in one arm because of the way the joysticks sort of work. You're just moving the other one over to grip onto it. It should be fairly straightforward. And you can feel the acceleration. You can actually feel and hear the water rushing past the capsule as you're pulled up, and you can see the depth gauge dropping away. You flick the lights out, and as soon as you do, you can see like a vague sensation of movement inside Kron's bathy through the glass. There's no light in there, so you can only tell that there's movement on the other side of the glass. But it's no longer being blasted by your light, and you can tell there is movement in there. And you start to come up to 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000, and about 50 meters below the surface, you can start to see that vague hint that light's starting to penetrate. And before you know it, at the speed you're coming up, even though the system automatically slows as it brings you into the ship, before you know it, you're suddenly lifted clear out of the water. As soon as you are, your bathy tilts crazily because you're now carrying the weight of Kron's bathy on one side. And so you're hanging, like looking down onto the sea surface past Kron's bathy. But you are out of the water, and his bathy is just very slightly dangling in it. The very bottom of his is still in the water. And you hear a call over the radio saying, we can't pull you in like that. Hold on. We'll try and work out how to get both of them in. and there seems to be a sort of a discussion going on. So, Cara.
Steve, Neil, can you hear me? It's me, Betty.
Hi, Betty. You all right?
Wasn't confusing at all.
Steve, things are all groovy up here. I've had more of that booze. I was so nervous. How are you okay?
Give us a minute and I'll let you know. We're up. We're safe. There's no squids that I can see.
Oh, that's the most important thing. I'm proud of you, man. Proud of you. You went back for our boy heroically. Of course, you wouldn't have had to if you'd have not been foolish to start with, but we can forget about that because you're brave and you're heroic. And
I'm sorry, what now?
everyone was on tenterhooks up here.
Did you say tentacles? Don't
Yes,
mention tentacles.
everyone was on tentacles up here.
It might be a sore subject for a little while.
Well, it's all right. Everything is good up here. The only arms up here are hugging happy arms.
Have you seen what sort of position we're in at the minute?
Yeah.
He looks down at the bathy, hugging Neil's bathy.
Yeah, they said you're dangly, but they can sort it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Look, you're safe for now, unless these sort of squid are the sort of ones that like to leap out of the air and take things in their big maw in midair and splash back down to 12 kilometers again. You're all right. I'm sure they're not.
Do we know? Do we know that? Have you spoken to anyone?
Yeah, they said
that feels like one of those things. You know, when you say those things and you know what you're talking about before you've even said it, and it's not what you're saying. It's the opposite of what you're saying. It happens all the time.
Apparently,
we do it all the time.
Apparently, it only happens about once a year, and it hasn't happened for nearly 12 months now.
Oh, okay, cool. We're good then.
Yeah, you're safe. You'll be all right.
Okay. As you watch, Stefan, a couple of the crew clamber out of the side of the ship through the open hatchway and jump down onto the bathy's side as soon as it's been dragged in far enough for them to easily reach it. They clamber down, cheerfully rapping on the outside of your windscreen as they do, giving you a big thumbs up, and then hook cables onto Kron's bathy. They attach those to one of the other arms, and you hear one of them call out, "Okay, let go."
Stefan will look through the window at his good friend Neil Kron. Just reach out a hand, push it against it, and go back to the controls and release the bathy.
Okay. As soon as you do, it drops with a bit of a splash further into the sea, and begins to very slowly sink beneath the waves. It's not
again.
It's not
no.
plunging, but it begins to very slowly sink, and it sinks a handful of meters until those cables that they attached pull taut and stop it. And then you see as they draw it back in and lift it up into one of the other davits. But you can only see the beginning of that operation because almost as soon as that started, your bathy is drawn in to its little pod on the side of the ship. And immediately, as it mounts and turns round, the thing locks in, the outer door closes, and you are back aboard. You can leave the bathy and go into the ship at any time.
Stefan will take a moment, sit down in a chair, and just contemplate what happened, and quite the reason behind his panic, I suppose, and then calm himself and make his way through to the ship proper.
Okay. You clamber into the ship, and you can see Sard there moving around, bossing people about and telling them what to do. And as soon as he's comfortable that everyone's in their places, they draw in the other bathy. Kron's the last one to come in, and it's the right way up, but not exactly the right way round. So they have to pull open the inner doors and leave the outer doors open. So there's kind of a fairly nasty, cold wind that blows through the center of the ship while they grab hold and maneuver the bathy around to the point where they can get the door open. But once they can, Kron clambers out, and when they let go, the thing hangs uselessly in its cradle. But they can then shut both sets of doors. And immediately Sard walks over to Kron. He says, "You all right?" And Kron leans back and says, Yeah, that was bracing. Yes, I'm fine.
As soon as he said, as soon as fine is out of his mouth, he's launched on by Kara. He'll have both arms around his neck, like in a loving way, not in a violent way. As soon as fine comes out.
And Sard sort of puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "I'm glad to hear it. You all suck. You're all terrible. This is by far the worst harvest we've ever had on a single trip.
Did you get that
barely got
last?
any.
That last little bit from my bathy should be the good stuff,
Yeah.
Stefan, sorry, come.
Yep. We got very little, much down on where we usually would be. We've got a bathy wrecked, another one repaired by jury rig, and now covered in scratches and dings and dents. This ship's going to need extensive repairs before we can use it again. And just saying, when we go in, everyone's going to look at our harvest and say, "Oh, this works brilliantly. This is just perfect. Well worth all the risk and the effort."
There was a lot of squid down there. Is there normally that many?
We don't normally see ones that big, but then normally, we follow the rules and don't go that deep.
We were like the reverse Icarus today.
We flew too far away from the sun.
We did.
You see, I've been having a chat with the captain.
Yes.
And he says there's a problem. We might have to update our charts, because there's not supposed to be anything that deep here.
Kara sort of frowns for a minute and says, "Can you show me where we are on the charts?"
Well, I can't, but the skipper can if you go up to the bridge.
Okay. She's going to, hey, monkeys are on. Oh, I can't hold off anymore. Brother of the dice, Jake. Pirates here. Angie Poops is here. Oh, you guys, how's it going? Are you still all alive? I know everything was going a bit pear-shaped, but is the beastie subdued? Is the vehicle fixed? Is life good? Is sanity reigning? I hope so. We had our own tentacles ourselves on this channel, actually. It's been that sort of night. But everything is good now. Nothing.
So many tickles.
So many tickles. Maybe as many as a dozen, I'd say.
Just under.
Just under. I know, a big gang night. I like it. Good stuff, monkeys. Thank you for popping in. If it's your first time, we're the boys of the Baltic Star. We are the ugly half sister of the Monkey Tails. We're the bearded ladies. We are less professional, less cool, less clever. But I don't know. But we drink more wine, maybe. I don't know. We might even do that.
Maybe.
Who knows? Maybe.
That sounds like a challenge.
A challenge.
Question mark?
Challenge accepted. And we're playing Traveller tonight. And tomorrow, if you do need to shoot off, but you fancy come back tomorrow we're playing The Villages, which is our a game that we've written and we're working on. And Sparrow's joining us for that. And it's a murder mystery set in Middle England, very much like Midsummer Murders, just so you know. But for now, we're going to keep playing Traveller for another hour or so. So hang around for as long or short as you want. Chat or ignore us.
That would be a really weird segue if we then changed to Middle England.
To Middle England.
Murder mystery role playing in the middle of whatever we're doing now.
Yeah.
Open the door from the bathies.
maybe one day.
Oh, so conceptual. I love it. I want to go there. Yeah, so Cara will want to shoot off to where she went before, to the old skip, please.
Okay. All right. So you head up to the bridge, and the two crew up there are looking at the chart and the status systems. There are a few red lights flashing in the cockpit as well, but they are staring at it in a degree of confusion, but also some concern over the fact that the charts were wrong and they were clearly lost. They're talking about it among themselves. It's like we've never seen this kind of depth here. I mean, I suppose it could just be a really tiny area that we happen to be directly overhead.
Yo, guys, it's me, Betty. You may remember me from not too long ago.
Yeah.
Can I take a look? Because I know you've seen it on your charts, but what was down there was not what we're expecting. Do you mind if I have a poke around to see if I can find on the map, like the bit that I saw? Do you mind if I scroll around a bit and see where that might be on the chart?
You know, why don't you roll a persuade for me?
Oh, I will.
With your choice of intellect or social.
Oh, well, in this case, let's go intellect. She's a bit grubby. She's not feeling very social, so she's going brain power. Persuade. It's good numbers for me, hopefully a +4.
She is the brainiest.
It is in her wheelhouse. Well, yeah, we learned that, didn't we? She's the smartest. Agnor's the most educated.
yeah, something like that.
And floofiest.
And the floofiest. Oh,
apparently.
Very much so. 9 + 4 is 13.
Okay. All right. It seems everyone is so grateful almost for someone to come along and help that they literally lean back and let you have a poke around at the system. Yeah.
Right, my aim here is to poke around a bit and to sort of faux shockedly realise, I'm just making up terms now, that we are in fact in a restricted area all along, and that we were that many kilometres away, and that something must have gone wrong with the software.
Okay, and you want to essentially put on a pretense that this is unexpected to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no. If I need to roll it and you can tell me, I'll role play out from there. But I feel like I need to know what I'm role playing to, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you have a number of choices here as to how you want to approach it, and you can literally role play it with me as to how you want to approach it, or you can just say, "I want to try to act." Say.
Let's role play it together, Ben.
Okay. And then we'll work out what it should be at the end.
Yeah.
So they pull back and let you have a look, and as you get there, what do you do?
I tap around a bit. Tappity. So this is where the system's saying we should be, right? In this sector, right here.
Yeah, it's an automated system.
And we went down deep, but the deepest we should have been to, according to this, is how many kilometers is that?
8.5.
8.5. But we definitely went 12. 12 at the bottom, which is far too deep. What's the closest area to here that would be that deep?
There's a sort of a little bit of a pause, and they say, "Well, nowhere that we go, that's what they say is in the restricted zone, but we don't have much in the charts beyond a basic depth gauge and a measure at the bottom there. But that's 12 kilometers.
What what's the what longitude and latitude are we at right now, according to this tracking?
They give you the relevant numbers.
4.
Okay, 4 and 2. Okay, I like your system. Your system's very simple. I like it. System on my planet's much more complex.
Accessible.
So confusing. So confusing. Oh.
We are at the region of 1.
Steve, shouldn't you be getting cleaned up? You're not helping at all.
Oh wait, no, yeah, sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna go speak to Neil.
He knows nothing about tech. More him.
Mhm.
He's got all frazzled. Okay. Bear with me a second, and she'll pull out her own laptop and sort of do some faux tapping around, I guess. Okay, and you said we were here. My laptop's reading different, and it might be my laptop being wrong, because I'm an off-worlder, or the laptop is anyway, and this sort of I've not got it fully sorted out to the system yet and stuff. But it's saying these coordinates, sort of tells them the real coordinates. Where would that put us?
There's a little pause as they glance down at the screen, and then you see both fingers reach out and touch the same point, which is right in the middle of the restricted area. That's there.
If we were here, what exactly does that mean for us?
Nothing good. That. You know what? Let's make sure the logs reflect where the system says we are now.
Is like if everyone assumes we are where we say we are now, and yeah, the harvest sucked, and yeah, we ended up very deep and scary down there, man. But it's far better, right, to go back with a poor harvest than to go back having been in the restricted zone, right?
Yeah, especially if we're coming back damaged. If we went to the restricted area and when we came back we'd broken things, I think that could be bad.
So that means, I guess, I don't mind speaking to Xard about it. I was down there after all, but I feel like if they won't question too much. Well, they like, is this something like the rest of the crew don't need to know, right? It's basically you guys, me, Sard, Steve, Neil are the ones that need to know, right? But if between us guys we can keep it on the down low, then everything, yeah, it sucks and the numbers are bad and there's a bit of a telling off, but it's far better than the alternative, right? This horrible mistake that's happened.
Yeah. Have you got anyone who can do navigation without this kind of kit, who can give us like a dead reckoning course before we change the settings to get us out of here before we update the system?
Navigation.
Because if we follow the route that it would plot back to the city for us, we won't be heading in the right direction anymore.
No, that is true. I have the computer skills, but I don't have the nav skills. I'll tell you what. Why don't we sit still for a bit? I'll go back, see if either of any of my team have got anything to help you out with, and I'll send them through to you.
Okay.
But we'll keep it. It'll just be one of our team, right? We ain't gonna share this with the Hoiper lawyer, right?
Let's keep it on the down low for the moment.
Cool, man. Because I don't want you to get in trouble for going to the wrong place or something.
Yeah.
We're in this together, right? We're a team.
Let's keep that quiet.
Cool. And Cara will pat him. I'll pat them both, one on each shoulder, like from the middle, and she'll head out back to the other area. Steve, sorry, man. Sorry for.
Oh, hold on. So, listen, Major Neil. As I was saying, the next time you're sitting there in essentially a tin can, far below the world, don't tell me to go save. And he'll gesture over his shoulder to Cara. If you've got no power, just keep things as they are. I tend to panic a little bit. It's on me. It's my fault. I'm not shifting the blame, but keep it cool. If your circuits are dead and there's something wrong, you're our number one priority.
Reaches out and grips you on the arm and says, "It's fine. We're up. We're safe. The ship will set off back to the city soon, I imagine. We'll be great."
Neil, my dear friend, have you ever dabbled your toes in a bit of navigation at all?
No. Sorry.
No.
Repair things, I don't steer them.
Okay. Have either of you seen Zoe recently?
You're not going to ask me? I'm not sure I understand why you wouldn't ask me.
Don't waste my time, Steve.
Not wasting your time. I'm very good at navigation.
In the
right circumstances.
Do you have navigation? Steve, please.
Conceptual navigation of where we are now. Yeah, we're in a corridor. On a ship.
Right, where's Zoe?
Neil's there. You're there. I'm here.
Zoe.
Zoe comes wandering forward. Like, yeah.
Do you we need so there's a situation, right? And so I've basically got the sort of keeps her voice down, in the little group, so no one else can hear her around. So all three of them are there with her. So been up front to the navigators to the skip, and basically, old Linto's upset, right? Because the kelp, there's not much because of our adventures. We'll fill you in. Sorry, of course, we'll fill you in.
Mm-hmm.
But we were definitely in the restricted area because I hacked it so that we would be. And navigation can't understand quite how we're in this predicament, and I've managed to make them feel that it's a mistake that we're here, and that it's better to keep things quiet, and that we can help get them back again.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a mistake. Sorry, Neil, you seem keen.
Can I just weigh in here? Don't you think it would be a good idea to have informed Neil and myself that we were in fact in a dangerous restricted area rather than I'm sorry that we're in a dangerous restricted area rather than just letting us go down there on under the premise that we were where we were supposed to be and all was good and safe.
Did I never tell you? Oh,
I'm
right.
not
That
sure.
must have slipped my mind. Sorry, I was so focused on carvings and things. Sorry.
Oh,
I don't. I've got lovely pictures.
oh.
I'll show you. I'll show you when we're back.
No,
So,
please
yeah,
don't.
you
Please
can have
don't.
a nice old look.
Show Agnar.
Oh, well, he loves a carving.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, Zoe, wondering if you had any experience with navigation devices that you could help them out a bit to get them back on the straight and narrow and get a safe track back, because they're a bit at sea, as it were.
Well, I haven't done much navigating, but my old military training gave me a little bit of ability to kind of turn my hand to almost anything. So I'll give it a shot.
You're very much like our friend Sarah in that way.
Perhaps not a skill, but yeah, a little bit like that.
No, please do. I don't know if you've seen them yet, but say that you're the best that Betty's got.
Okay. So Zoe wanders through to the bridge, introduces herself to the two crew there, and then she takes a look at a few things, does a little bit of basic trigonometry, and then says, "Okay, I've got a course for you." Okay. And she seems to be fairly confident that she's probably got it right. Not enormously so, but she thinks it's basically the right direction, and it'll get you closer. It may not be perfect. And the crew immediately start powering up the engines and deploying the hydrofoil, so that when they get up to speed, the ship will lift out of the water. And as they fire it up, you can feel the power surge through the ship. But almost immediately, one of the crew hits the emergency engine stop button and says, "Something's wrong. We're not moving like we should. It's like we're fouled. Like something's attached." And that's where we'll take our break.
Oh, we've got a chicken attached to the ship.
Is that tentacle still attached, Stefan? Is it another one of your blunders?
My blunders. Probably.
Oh, what a moment.
Wow.
Right. We should be back in 5 minutes' time, so please hang around with us. But grab what you need to do. Grab a drink, grab a toilet, grab some crisps. That's what I'm going to do. I've got some paprika ones there. And we'll be back for the toast. So charge your glasses for the most important toast of the week. We'll be back in 5 minutes for a half hour or so. Run towards the end for this evening.
Something like that.
Something like that. There we go. Right, let's put the break on. The break's there. Let's put some music on. Hang on a sec. There we go. That should be music on. And then we can toss ourselves out. And we'll see you all in a little bit.
Bye.
Ben.
It's time to recount another of the stories I was once told by our former ship's steward. I can't verify the accuracy of these stories. After all, he once told me he invented antimacassars. Once, he told me of a tale from that strange low-tech world. He undertook, allegedly on purpose, to defeat a sort of escape room set by someone with some remarkable resources. Challenging, sure, but our friendly steward had resources of his own. In passage after passage, he evaded traps, creatures, and employees set to stop him. He revealed to me that he eventually was unable to pass a giant creature that completely blocked a tunnel that it had dug. I asked why he entered a natural tunnel rather than follow the clearly designed and built passages, and he told me that he had learnt a lesson that day, but seemingly not well enough. Ironic it is that when he finally met his end, it was in a well-furnished, even luxurious room filled with every comfort he could have wanted. And gunfire. It was filled with gunfire. Mustn't forget the gunfire. When I think of him, I try to remember that we must be cautious in lonely, bare tunnels and caves, but also wary of places of comfort and luxury, even those with antimacassars. I'm grateful to him for that useful guide to living safely, and for this reason and so many others, that I ask you to join me in toasting to the memory of the late, great Grey Hill Bast.
To the late great
The late
Grey Hill
Grey Hill
Bast.
Bast.
So, on the ice sheet,
Oh.
Oh,
Let's just draw a line under that
yes,
emotionally and
and
physically.
please do go on.
our noble crew of
You
four
muttling, Luke.
I am Muttley, and I'm at full Muttley at that point.
have just landed on the surface of the ice sheet and are able to disembark and stand on the surface if they wish.
Oh man, it's so safe and crisp and lovely up here, eh? I feel, Agnar. I feel that that Team Sagnar truly is the blessed team at the minute.
Oh, wait, really? I was just thinking that it's cold and frigid, and they must be having a much nicer time.
You're cold and frigid. But
Oh, well,
so that's what the ladies say on the Baltic Star anyway. They say you've not been your same warm usual self since you haven't seen the resplendent rack for so long.
I'm sorry. The resplendent what?
The tasty tea lunch.
I feel as though it's entirely inappropriate, and you shouldn't be drawing attention to such things. But anyway, the situation in which we find ourselves appears to be pleasant for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely clears the old lungs. Let's put it that way. And we've got these beautiful skis. Brisk. Do you like the skis? I think they're a good purchase. They seem to be decent.
I haven't put mine on yet. I'm somewhat wary.
No, that's the point of skis. You weary them. Otherwise,
You
can't
wary
use
the skis.
Such a bind.
So many pints. Two, maybe. Well, please, can I've not actually. I'll be honest. I've not actually put any skis on before. Could you make sure that I'm doing it correctly? I don't want to make a fool of myself in front of.
I wouldn't want to do such a thing. So these skis, as you can see, along there's a square end and a sort of a curved front end. Can you see?
Did you say as you can ski?
As you can ski. As you can ski,
Yeah.
I'll just leave you to do it yourself then. If you could be like that, if you can.
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it.
So there's a flat end and a curved end, right? The flat end's the front end, and the curved end's the back end.
Yep.
Yeah. So you need to, and it might hurt when you put them on. It might feel a bit back to frontsy, but that's skiing. So you need to try and slot them on so that the squared up front is in front of you, and the curved up back is behind you.
Is there a left and right? Does it
Um,
matter? Like pool cues.
no, there's not.
Okay.
It's not.
There is, in fact, no way to fit these skis backwards. Because these are cross-country skis, they
Oh,
only attach at the toe.
oh, that's a shame.
It's almost intuitive, you would say, to
Yeah.
anybody other than Agnar. So it would seem.
A man with some kind of dew claw or something.
Naturally.
Yes. Just bang your toes in there. Get your boots in.
It feels quite good. You said
Yeah.
it would feel uncomfortable. It feels all right.
How does it feel now? She sort of tries to shoulder barge him into the snow.
Oh.
His strength is low. That's okay. Forget that. It's very easily done. You see, that's lesson one. That's one of Soraya's scouting smarts.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Well,
the lesson?
everyone attaches their skis. So which direction are you going? Heading basically towards the figures you saw, or are you going to, scout around the area, or on?
We're 4,000 meters away, apparently, on the far side, further away from the city. We should probably should we just head straight there, Agnar? I can see you're cold, and it might take a while with you not being a skiing expert.
Otherwise known as 4 kilometers.
Yeah. Well, I'm very impressed.
It's better than my skiing skills, so I will admit.
That's good. 400,000 centimeters.
When you put it like that, it doesn't seem that far.
It doesn't.
Is that weird? No, not at all. Especially considering the length of the skis.
Exactly. You're also particularly long. Have you ever been told that before?
I have many a time. Long and floofy. That's what I say.
Floofy. Yes, that's what they do say about you, actually. Around when you've headed back early with the sore head.
The what?
Baspar. When you've headed back to your room from Baspar with a sore head. Yeah. That's what they say about you. So look, well, we've got a happy team of 4. Make sure we've got all our bits from the ship that we might need. Some snacks, some of Agnar's booze as a gift. I believe we said something about. I might just be making it up. I'm sure we did though. In my mind, I did.
Sure.
I might not have told Agnar that.
I'm going
There was a call to bring flammable alcohols. I'm sure. Sorry, do go on, man.
I'm basically going to make everybody roll a check to find out how quickly and efficiently you can move as a group.
Cool.
Because essentially you'll move at whatever pace the slowest person moves.
Cool.
So for the it's high energy stuff, skiing, especially in very cold weather. So I'm going to ask everybody to make a strength check, please.
Oh, can we not use endurance for once? Soraya never gets to use
Or dexterity.
Skills.
Please,
Yeah.
please, Ben. Anything but strength.
You know what? Strength or endurance.
Yes.
Whichever you prefer. And you can use either the athletics strength skill.
Yeah. Or
if you prefer, you can use survival.
Yes, philosophy. I'll take survival. Thanks. Okay, I've got a chance at least. I don't know about Agnar if he's got a chance.
Okay.
Oh, he's got endurance as well. He's good for endurance.
No, it's okay. It's an 8 on the dice plus 2 endurance and 0 survival or athletic strength.
Total of 10.
I got 8 on the dice as well, but plus 1 endurance and 0 survival for a 9.
Okay.
Good teamwork.
Oh, what a
It
team we are! We're the
appears
right team
that
for
the
skiing.
slow coach in your party is Johnny,
Oh, typical.
but he isn't all that slow.
I
He's
said we
just
should have brought
slower than the
Sammy.
rest of you.
I wanted Sammy.
So he is. You're moving essentially at his pace.
Yeah.
And because of that, covering that 4 kilometers will take you several hours. As you travel, I'm going to ask you each to make one survival roll with intellect, please.
Oof. I'm gonna warm these up.
I've got a bit of
Good
intellect.
roll.
Wait a sec. Is Soraya smarter than Agnar? That's shocking to me.
Yeah. Agnar's intellect is effectively a 0,
Yeah.
but his education is a +2.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a 5 on the dice, plus 0, plus 0 again for
Okay.
the grand total of 5. If you please, Ben.
I've got a 7 plus 1 plus 0 is 8.
Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
There we go.
The intellect of the girl.
Yeah.
As you travel, a couple of hours into the journey, Syl quietly mentions to everybody that she thought she saw some movement on a sort of ice ridge to the left, but by the time she sort of paid attention to it, she couldn't see it anymore. But she didn't get anything other than the possibility that there was some movement out there. And you get progressively sort of closer to your destination, tracking it on your communicators and general purpose electronic tools. And as you get there, you find that you're actually entering what appears to be almost a valley. It's not literally a valley, obviously. It's just a depression in the ice, as if over quite a large area it's just a little bit sunken, not very deep, just a little depression in the ice. And as you go down into it, the going becomes a little bit easier, and the wind is less brutal, and it becomes a little bit more comfortable. The sun is out. The conditions are pretty nice, even though it's very cold. It's not unpleasant conditions, and with the wind dropped, there's less of that powdery snow blowing everywhere and obscuring your vision. But of course, now you can't see as far because you're down in a little depression. As you enter this sort of shallow area, you can see it's probably several kilometers in length and almost a kilometer in width. It's quite substantial in area. And you keep going, looking around for any signs of anything. Can you all roll for me a survival check with intellect?
Yes.
Yeah. That is 1 less than last time, Ben. That's a mighty 4, if I may.
A total of 4. Excellent.
Also 1 less. 6 plus 1 is 7.
Okay. All right. You ski on for a considerable distance through this little depression, this little valley, and as you go, you can't really see much reason for it to be, depressed relative to the rest of the ice sheet. There's no obvious cause, and it may just be a freak of the way the wind patterns blow or something. And you keep going further and further into it. And when it sort of bottoms out, because it's very gentle sided, when it bottoms out, you can continue to move in that direction. And as you sort of look around you, you don't spot anything unusual. The surface isn't dead flat. It has undulations and waves caused by the wind blowing in sort of rolls across the surface. And when that happens, of course, it tends to build up in little drifts, and then over time they move and get blown across the surface of the continent or the ice sheet, because it's all just floating. As you continue onwards, you must at some point have reached a location which, for whatever reason, triggers a response, because you have no indication whatsoever that this was coming. And suddenly you hear a voice call out, "Stop! Hands where I can see them."
Soraya will put her hands where they can see them, that's for sure. Oh, I've muted. Am I mute? Can anyone hear me?
I can hear.
We can hear. I
I've
can
gone
hear.
black. Even better.
We
People
can
can
hear.
hear me, and I've gone off camera. That's perfect for everyone.
Good stealth roll.
Everything's worked out well. Hang on, I can sort this. It's okay. Hang on.
Okay.
What I'll do is, yeah, that's what we'll do. Okay, life is good. Okay.
Okay.
Life is good. I like it.
Soraya will put her hands up. Not just one, but both.
Okay. Everyone else slowly complies, I assume. Is Agnar doing the same?
Yeah, Agnar will gauge the reaction of the group and do the same.
Okay. There's a moment while everyone sort of gets into position and looks around. For a little while, you can't actually see where the voice came from. And then the only way I can easily describe it is almost like a trap door folds open, and out climbs a figure. Though the suit she's wearing is obviously intended to be very cold weather clothing, it can't disguise the fact that she's female and not particularly tall. And she strides out towards you. She's armed, but she doesn't have her weapon drawn at all. You can see a carbine slung across her back. And she crunches through the snow on the top of the ice sheet down towards the group of you. And she says, "No sudden moves. There's a lot of weapons watching you."
Can Agnar take a look around at the positions?
Would you like to do a recon check for me, please?
Yeah, something that he would imagine where would be a good position to be watching us from.
Yeah, okay. Recon with education, please.
It's in alphabetical order, so it shouldn't be too difficult for me to find. That is an 8 plus 3, please, Ben, for
okay.
An 11.
With that, you can see in the sort of hole that she's just emerged from, there is an indication of somebody keeping you covered with a weapon of some kind. And as you glance around, looking now for possible threatening locations, there are quite a few places that somebody could easily be behind, a bit of a snowdrift, a little bit of a rise. But now that you're sort of focusing particularly on where you would sight weapons for this kind of ambush, there are at least two more places you think, yep, there'll be one there. Yep, there'll be one there. You don't have a clear view of where they might be, but that you think there's a good chance there's at least 3 weapons trained on the party.
Agnar he'll keep his hands out and he'll. Of course, we mean no harm, but do your colleagues, and he'll gesture to the 3 spots. Do they often allow you to be first out into the fray, the sacrificial lamb, if you will?
I'll tell you what. Roll a persuade.
He's not entirely sure whether he's right, but he'll say it with confidence.
Roll a persuade check for me, with intellect.
That's a 6 + 1 for a 7, please, Ben.
Okay. She lets out a short laugh, and pulls off a sort of face mask to reveal she's a fairly young woman. Could still be a teenager, maybe early 20s. It's hard to tell just from the face alone, because the rest of her is pretty much covered. But she's clearly a young human woman, and she, as she sort of chuckles, she says, "I'm not the sacrificial lamb. I'm the leader of this party."
Sign her up, Agnar. Get her on the Baltic Star.
I mean, I was just thinking, this is the kind of person.
And she sticks her hand up and makes a little signal of waving, and you see, in fact, there are 4 people who stand up in the area around you and come in, and they are carrying their weapons, but they're walking in slowly, watchfully, but they're no longer in cover. And as they come closer, she says, "So, what brings you to our little home away from home?"
Well, you've first off, our congratulations. You've certainly bested us, and have us well and truly fixed, it would appear. He'll shoot a glance around to his companions and tentatively start saying, "We seek an audience with those that are not necessarily happy with the ruling forces on this planet."
She grins and says, "You've come to the right place. Nobody here is happy with the ruling forces. Tell you what, we should do this inside. Hand your weapons over to my colleagues."
And again, Agnar will glance between everyone in the party and see if there's any objection, I suppose.
Sarai will pull off Stefan's flamethrower and hand that over first and say, "Please be careful with this. It's not mine. I borrowed it."
Oh, don't you dare!
It's a friend's. He'll kill me if something happens to it. Yeah, look after it.
He will. He literally will. He hasn't even got to use it yet.
It's still boxed.
Yeah.
if you take it out of its box, it loses half its value.
It's still got the little plastic pulley bit over the
Yeah.
over the hole at the end.
Yeah.
So, does everyone comply? Everyone hands over their weapons?
Agnar will.
Okay.
Sure, why not? That and my my lovely Gauss rifle. I'll be more upset if that goes missing.
All right. Following your lead, Sil and Johnny do the same. Johnny's looking a bit grumpier about it than Sil is, and the woman then, once she's sort of made sure that everything's being squared away, she says, "Right, come with me. It's nicer inside. I'm Tally Holinsky.
Oh, spelling?
Tally
Yeah.
Holinsky.
Cool. Oh, a pleasure to meet you, Tally Holinsky. We're the boys from the Baltic Star.
She nods sort of carefully and then says, "I'm getting the feeling that's supposed to mean something."
It's bold, Luke, but I like it.
It does to us. It means freedom. It means exploration. It means cheesy balls and mimosas. But most of all, it means the desire for revolution when leaders are against the freedom of the people.
Oh, we're going to get on fine. and she leads you down into the underground area. It's essentially excavated from the ice, and then they've sprayed the entire floor and the walls. It's like arch shaped over the head, so effectively it doesn't have separate walls and ceiling. It forms a vault with a flat floor, and they've sprayed it with something like a very hard foam to give it some structure and insulate it from the cold. And as soon as you're inside and the hatch is closed, you realize that though it's not hot there, it's definitely quite warm. There is warm air circulating through this space. It's comfortable to take off your hat and your gloves and your masks and everything. And you see as she peels off her outer layer a bit and grins at you and sort of indicates the space, which is well lit, nicely fitted, very comfortable looking, with passages running off in several directions, which are similarly designed but just smaller. And she says, "This is what we call home. It's not as luxurious as my father's place in the city, but it'll have to do. And that's where we'll call it."
Oh, she's the daughter. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'm drastically writing down her father's place in the city on my notes.
Governor Henley.
Because my notes are extensive. Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the surname.
That's good. I'm glad. I just got confused with it. It's like, what is a fishmonger?
In fact, Agnar is very familiar with the surname.
He has. This is the second Holinsky he's schmoozed in as many days.
Well, hopefully, schmoozing is on the cards.
Excellent.
Not quite sure how I feel about a father-daughter revolution.
Being a father of a daughter.
Well, is it about the revolution? Is there more to it?
Oh, yeah.
Hard to say.
Did he just never let her have a pony?
Well, exactly.
That'll be the reason.
Exactly.
Is she just a Nepo child, a Nepo baby, whatever they call them? Oh no.
Is that what they call people that didn't get ponies? Because
Yeah.
if that's the case, I have an admission to make.
stuff, Ben. Thank you so much.
That
But
is very good.
our adventure isn't over this evening because we need to hear about Caboodle, Ben, if that's okay.
Oh, okay, excellent. Right, 1 second. Okay. Technically, there's no such thing as night on a spaceship. Some people use the terms day and night to refer to whether the ship is in or out of the shadow of a planet they're orbiting. And that's fair enough, of course. In practice, the modern ship is well lit, though, and most of the time the crew aren't staring through viewports. Because people actually want a cycle of waking and sleeping, most ships maintain an artificial day and night cycle. All of the crew of the Baltic Star shared a common schedule like this. Even though there were shifts when people monitored the bridge during the night, it was still true, if rather old-fashioned, that everyone generally went to bed at similar times and assembled again in time for breakfast, or at least brunch. When I say that the whole crew followed that schedule, there was one notable exception. Caboodle, the enthusiastic kitten that Rose had smuggled aboard, was unconcerned with the ship's clock. She slept when she wanted, woke when she felt like it. Now, this wasn't exactly a problem because she was a good-natured little animal, and if she wanted to be active during the night, she would usually go and play with the officer on the bridge. One night, however, Caboodle had a different playmate. Zoe had decided to try evading the kitten's attentions, as she'd been practicing her stealthy movement. She dimmed the ship's lights and walked the decks until she found the cat. Immediately, Caboodle leapt to her feet, let out a chirp of a purr, and walked towards the Zodani, in natural expectation of some attention. Zoe, however, walked away into the port corridor. For Caboodle, this was deeply unfair. Obviously, there was a human up and about in the otherwise quiet ship. Humans only had a limited range of purposes and functions. Caboodle wasn't hungry, and therefore the purpose of the human was to pet the cat. The kitten knew, however, that she was fast. She ran to catch up to her reluctant playmate. She reached the entrance to the corridor and stopped in confusion. Zoe was nowhere to be seen. This should have been impossible, because the corridor was too long for her prey to have reached the far end, and the doors were all closed. Caboodle recognized the sounds of doors opening and closing, of course. It was how she worked out where people were going, so she could be in their way at the most optimum time to earn a scratch behind the ear. She padded slowly down the corridor, looking at each door in turn. After a few moments, she turned, hearing a slight sound behind her. And there was Zoe, smiling at her. She raced over to get her reward. As she was picked up and gently stroked, all thoughts of the impossible disappearing human left her mind. Caboodle didn't really analyze things too deeply. There was a human present, and this one was functioning as expected.
Beautiful.
It's a
Thanks,
simple
Ben.
life for Caboodle. I wish I had such a simple life. So it's lovely.
I hope that was okay for you, Sparrow. Thank you for asking for Rosie's cat.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well, that draws another Voice in the Baltic Star evening to an end, sadly, with the look that I need to probably buy another webcam. Never mind. I've been watching a lot of Farscape again recently, Spez. It's my favourite sci-fi, it must be said. It's my favourite sci-fi show. I've got my... have I shown you the I got a graphic artist... Well, my wife got a graphic artist who's done like comic books and that, to do graphics for Farscape. I can't remember if I showed that, because it's our favourite show. And so I've got a one-of-a-kind Farscape print on my wall, which is very, very cool. And it's been watching it again recently because I think we've got the box set anyway, but it's on Amazon and YouTube keep doing live ones all the time. I love it. Farscape is the best. Absolutely the best. I recommend it to anyone watching that hasn't watched it before. It's truly the best sci-fi.
I saw it when it first... I mean, I haven't seen it in years, but I did see it when it first came out.
Because it's Jim Henson's Creature Workshop, so all the aliens are just weird, which is super cool, and the villains super
Which is
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely, Spez. I might watch one as I fall asleep tonight, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe I'll do it when everyone's out tomorrow at the swimming. That's what I'm going to do. Yes. Perfect. But that's not all I'm going to do tomorrow, because, gentlemen, we're doing something very good tomorrow evening, one of you.
We are, yes, as Ewan has a sip of his drink. We are playing the second part, or arguably first, if the last one was session 0. I can't remember
No,
what we
session
called
1
it.
last time. It's arguably the third part this time.
Oh, yes, good point, yeah. So we are on to
But we don't argue.
the third part of our first ever game of the Villages, which is the game system we've been working on with our own sort of play environment and what have you. And this is particularly noticeable because we have the wonderful Sparrow joining us to play with us.
The poor person that has volunteered themselves to go through the first ever game with us.
Yeah. Yes, which is incredibly brave, but this is Sparrow all over.
Indeed.
So we are going to encounter the story of the murdered Morris man, and obviously because he's a murdered Morris man, everybody is a suspect.
Right. And the best bit is, I think we're starting the next episode in a pub.
That is good, isn't it? Yes, we are. Unfortunately, not currently serving because the bar is irritatingly, a crime scene.
You've not asked yet.
It's true.
That is true. And I was going to say that brings it
still open, and they can do us a nice pie.
Yeah. Bacon sarnie, maybe. I'd settle for that.
Thank you very much, guys. I enjoyed this evening a lot.
It's been a real joy, as always.
It's been emotional. We'll see you all, dear viewers. Thank you, Spez. Thank you, anyone else still watching. We appreciate you all. And Spez has to be here tomorrow. But
yeah,
anyone else?
We might not see Luke tomorrow.
No, this is all very up in the air.
But we'll hear him,
which
is the most important part.
Well, of course.
It is the best part of the Luke, yes.
It means I can stream him dressing gown and pajamas tomorrow. This is looking up.
Ooh.
Perfect.
Game changer.
Life is good. I'll just do it from bed. Right. We'll see you all tomorrow evening. Thank you so much.
Good night.
And,
good night, everyone.
Love you all. Good night.